We're at Sunshine City Scares. I'm with my buddy Steve Altier. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. The convention looks fun so far.
Yeah, a lot of people here having a great time. So, I mean, come on out. If you're not here, what are you waiting for?
So tell me, you have a whole ton of books. Tell me about your books.
So they're all set in the 1970s. They're the Lizardville ghost stories based off my childhood, where I grew up in an old, in the old dam keeper's house here, and there was an old abandoned axe factory across the street. So it all starts with a camping trip, which was book one in the series. The kids go out along the banks of Big Fishing Creek where there's an old factory, and they're going in there and they're exploring, and the oldest guy wants to scare the young guys, so he tells them the legends of the axe factory murders, and that wakes up the spirit world, and chaos begins.
So how many books do you have in this series so far?
So far, there's two series running. I've got the Lizardville Ghost Stories, which is 2 books in that series. The 3rd book is just finished. I just turned it over to the publisher. And then there are 2 side stories to that, The Ghost Hunter and Old Man Smithers. They both relate back to this. So there'll be 6 books when it's all finished. But book 5 is already at the publisher. So we're looking for another 6 to 8 months before that one releases. And like I said, I'm already working on the next one. So
nice. Now I know last year I ran into another convention here in the Tampa Bay area, and I picked up a kid's book. Can you tell me about those?
I have some middle grade chapter books. That's where I started writing originally, was middle grade chapter books. Just good, wholesome family stories that have some sort of values that I'm trying to instill in kids today. I was at a Barnes & Noble doing a book signing for my story, Blast Off. And I had a couple of young teenage guys come up to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's like baby stuff, man. What do you got for me? I don't want that thing." And so I started writing the ghost stories. But I go back and forth. We released a new Over the Falls, which was when the kids, brother and sister, go to Niagara Falls on an adventure, and all of them are they're like travel adventure stories. So there's Blast Off, there's Adventures in Italy, there's the Over the Falls, which is when they go to Niagara Falls, and then We Can't Move at Christmas, and I'm working on the Mayan Curse, when the kids go on a cruise down to Mexico, and I'm looking to do like Haunted Savannah as well in that series, just continually to add to it, like a lot of other stories that, like the old Treehouse books and stuff like that, where there's just tons of stories involved with those. But yeah, all of them have some sort of a message for the kids.
That's awesome. So growing up, did you read a lot of books? And if so, who was your inspiration that you read?
So my biggest inspiration was Stephen King. I used to love his stuff. I loved the way he told a story and how descriptive he was. And you just felt like you were living in that world as you read his stuff. And I try to, my work, I try to do the same thing, that he does, and try to be descriptive enough, but not overly descriptive. But I want you to come into my world, be welcome there, and feel like that you're really living the experience.
What was your favorite Stephen King book?
I'm not sure if everybody's ever heard of this one, but it's The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon.
I haven't read that one.
That is a good one, and it's a 9-year-old girl, and as he describes it, it's a 9-year-old girl who's going on 10, and she's out with her family on a just for a hike in the woods, and her mom and her brother start arguing, so she kind of stays back and said, "I wonder if they'll miss me if I'm gone." Well, she takes a wrong turn and gets lost in the woods. And Stephen King you just live this girl's experience. I mean, it's just like, there's a monster following, which turns out, which I won't spoil it, but it's a great, great story, just a real life story that could happen to anybody, anytime. And that's one of my favorites. I also love The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, and that was he turned that into, it was actually written by Joyce Reardon, and he loved it so much, Stephen King turned it into Red Rose. Okay. Or Rose Red, I'm sorry.
Mine was probably Cujo. It was probably my favorite. Reading that as a kid was probably not a good idea, but it was good.
I was going to say, another one of my favorites was Carrie. I just love how descriptive Carrie was great.
And that one actually translated into a decent movie, too, the original version.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I thought that was a great movie.
Unfortunately, Maximum Overdrive didn't come out as a good movie. So where can everybody find your books at?
Well, my books are everywhere. Books are sold, so you can find them on, Amazon, any bookstore, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, just anywhere that books are sold, that's where they're at. I am traditionally published with Four Horsemen Publications. I love these guys. They're great, and everything that they've been doing for me.
So one more thing, on Facebook, I know you invited me into a Facebook group.
Yep.
So tell me about that Facebook group for anybody that's interested.
So I host a Facebook group called The Right Read, and it's just for those that are wanting to become writers. We're there to help. There's a lot of authors there. There's a lot of inspiring writers that are there. Everybody that's just interested in reading or writing. It's a great place for us to connect, authors and readers, and to help the new writers along. And I mean, come on, join the group. You'll find it's called The Right Read, and just something I started years ago, and I've really enjoyed working with a lot of new authors and giving them advice, because there was things that I've learned over the years, and I mean, I wish some of them are, that school of hard knocks, it's like, wow, okay, wish I wouldn't have done that. So, but if I can help somebody, along, not make the same mistakes that I did, that would be great.
So before we wrap it up, I have one more follow-up question. What are 3 tips for someone that's wanting to get out and write a book?
So if you're an aspiring writer, if anybody ever comes to you and says, we'll publish your book, just give us some money, run like heck. That would be my first piece of advice to you. Your second piece of advice is read every day, write every day. It's very, very important to do that. Third piece of advice, follow your dreams, man. Just, the stories are in you. Get them on paper. The minute you start putting pen to paper, you are a writer. And now it's just, how do you get published? And I'm always here. You can always look me up on stevealtier.com or send me an email at stevealtierbooks@outlook.com, and I'll be more than happy to help or answer, or join my Facebook group, The Right Read.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend here.
Oh, yeah. We're looking for a lot of fun time. And like I said, if you're not here, I mean, I don't know what you're doing.
You need to be here.
Yeah. I mean, instead of taking mom out to lunch, bring mom here. Because did you know that moms get in free on Mother's Day?
And they have a nice postcard for Mother's Day out there they're giving out to everybody with Jason and his mom on there. It's a cute postcard. But thank you again. We'll be back shortly.